Well, most Americans feel the war in Iran is not going well, and the new CBS News poll finds the conflict plus rising gas prices are fueling concerns about the economy. Earlier today, I spoke with CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, about the findings. I want to start with this. What role do gas prices have on Americans' views of the war and the overall economy?
Well, for starters, people have noticed gas prices going up. We saw a big jump in the number of folks here at 85% say they've seen prices going up around them. Now, to answer your question of what impact that has had, two things. First is both in the short term and the long term, right now, most people believe that the conflict is going to make oil and gas prices go up. Now, not a surprise. I just showed you that you get 90% who think so in the short term, but also in the long term, you get a majority who think it'll have that impact too. What's important about that is, even as some argue, the administration, some folks argue, says the American people ought to have patience and maybe ride this out. But this long-term number stands out because they are doubtful that in the long term it'll lower or stabilize gas prices. The other part of this is we've also seen, when we just look at people's views on the economy, bit of an increase in the number who think that it's going to get worse, that it's going to go even into recession in their description in the coming year. So those fuel prices, those gas prices, Americans have long been concerned about inflation. That may be having a dampening effect on overall views of the economy as well, Annie.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Anthony, more generally, do Americans see the war how do they see the war going, and what do you think are important goals?
So for goals, start with this, because we've actually seen an increase in the already large number of Americans who say that they don't think the administration has clearly explained what the U.S. goals are in the conflict. That's now up to this over 2/3. What we did then was ask Americans, okay, what do you think is important for the U.S. to do? What ought the goals to be? And you see this wide range of things. Yeah, for almost all, end the conflict as quickly as possible, but also these goals for a majority: make sure Iran's people are safe and free, permanently stop Iran's nuclear program. Most Americans say they don't think it would be acceptable for the war to end with the Iranian regime still in power. So are these all in sort of compatibility with the idea of a quick war? Maybe, maybe not. But when you take a look at the overall approval for the war, it's gone from 44 to 40 now over the last few weeks. And that has a lot to do with how long you think it's going to last, which is to say, for folks who think it'll take months or even years, they're much more disapproving than people who think that it will be a much shorter conflict. How long it will last goes to views on approving of the conflict, Annie.
Real quick, how do groups in the public, including the president's Republican base, see the war?
Now, this is really important because part of the conversation, anytime you see partisan splits, but in particular, the president's political base, Republicans, are strongly supportive. Big numbers, 84%, are supportive of the action. If you dive down even closer and you look within Republicans, MAGA Republicans are also, in fact, even more strongly approving. The big reason for this is they say they have personal confidence in him and his decision-making in the conflict, and that's one of the things that continues to drive that strong MAGA approval for the conflict, Annie.
All right, Anthony Salvanto, thank you so much for that insight and really giving us a sense of the pulse of the people. Thanks, Anthony.